Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Assembly of First Nations call out Mark Carney, the BC government rolls out new safe supply measures, and the Terrace RCMP plan to cram the cruiser.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. The BC Conservative Party says Nechako Lake's MLA John Rustad has been removed as leader of the provincial opposition. The announcement comes after 20 members of Rustad's caucus said they had lost confidence in him and wanted him out. Rustad refused to resign and cited the party's constitution, which says a leader can only be removed by resignation, death, incapacitation, or a leadership review. The party says its board of directors has decided Rustad is, quote, professionally incapacitated and unable to continue as leader of the party. Ahead of Prime Minister Mark Carney's address to the Assembly of First Nations, chiefs unanimously passed an emergency resolution to demand a withdrawal of the new pipeline deal between Ottawa and Alberta. CTV's Abigail Biman reports.
Do you respect the direction of the rights and title holders?
BC's regional chief among those with a rare chance to question the Prime Minister, as coastal chiefs are staunchly opposed to the new MOU between Ottawa and Alberta that sets the stage for a new pipeline.
I look forward to that meeting at the earliest opportunity.
Mark Carney says he will meet with the coastal BC chiefs and committed to a First Ministers meeting with First Nations early in the new year.
Under the leadership of the Minister of Indigenous Services, this government intends to introduce water legislation in the spring of 2026.
Key on the day one agenda, an emergency resolution to maintain the oil tanker ban and a call to scrap the new MOU.
This resolution has been accepted.
It passed unanimously.
First Nations in Canada are feeling overwhelmed, that they're feeling as though the duty to consult is being undermined.
Merle Alexander is representing 2 BC coastal First Nations.
There also is a real pushback against this regression on environmental and climate change policies.
Canada can create all the MOUs, project offices, advisory groups that they want, but chiefs are united. When it comes to approving large national projects on First Nations lands, there will not be getting around rights holders.
It's bad enough First Nations don't trust the government, and this makes it even worse.
The message about a need for more consultation coming not just from BC, but chiefs across the country.
We've had enough of being excluded, and there's going to be trillions of dollars going to be extracted over the next 10 to 100 years, and for First Nations to get chump change, it's not going to happen.
The Special Chiefs Assembly continues here until Thursday. Also on the agenda, a plenary session about the Major Projects Office and Indigenous Advisory Committee. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Lac Williams Band has informed the community of an ongoing investigation that's begun at the Crosby Girls' home site. The Crosby Girls' Home was part of a Port Simpson boys and girls residential school that operated from the late 1800s to 1948. The band says they appreciate patience as they gather information and work to learn more about this important part of shared history. They also recognize that this may bring up difficult feelings and memories and encouraged those affected to reach out for available support. At the end of next week, the Terrace RCMP is going to be holding an event that takes place close to Christmas every year. The Cram a Cruiser is an event meant to gather up non-perishable food items, put as many of them possible inside police cruisers, and then donate all of the food to local charities. Sam Place and the Terrace Church's Food Bank are the organizations that will be on the receiving end of the donated food, and anyone who wants to make a donation can go to either the Safeway or Save on Foods parking lots on December 13th between 1 and 3 p.m. Coming up next, changes to safe supply roll out. The province is once again making changes to drug management and safe supply rules. CTV's Rob Buffum has more.
The same day, the coroner confirmed 150 people died from toxic drug overdoses in BC in October. The province flushed out details of its next step in battling the crisis.
Helping to separate people from the illicit drug supply.
By the end of the month, with limited exceptions, British Columbians using safer supply will have to consume the prescribed alternative to street drugs in front of a pharmacist or nurse.
It's so important to make sure that these medications only land in the hands of those people for whom they are intended.
In February, the province announced the change. At that time, it required new patients in the program to consume their safer supply in front of a witness. Today's announcement expands that requirement to existing users. The changes were triggered by a leaked memo confirming widespread trafficking of the prescribed drugs. Use of safer supply has dropped since February.
The risk posed by diversion has been significant. It has put funds into the hands of gangs and cartels, drug dealers.
BC Conservative MLA Claire Rattay is a recovered addict. She doesn't support safer supply, favoring the resources be spent on treatment expansion.
Back when I was struggling with drug addiction, back when I was homeless, if the government was going to pay for my drugs and provide them to me for free, I probably wouldn't be standing before you right now.
But she says if the prescribed alternatives are being provided, the witness component is valuable.
To ensure that, the drugs aren't getting into the wrong hands.
But not all advocates fully support today's news. Some worry the witness component will force certain users to take the more deadly street drugs.
When we put more barriers in place for people who are struggling, it makes it harder for them to even want to access the service.
The province says there will be a few exemptions who don't need witnesses, including in rural areas where a pharmacy isn't open every day, as it rolls out its latest plan to combat a health emergency first declared 9 years ago that's claimed more than 16,000 lives.
Canadians who are planning to fly over the holidays may want to pay extra attention to the next story. 99% of ununionized air transit pilots have voted to strike, and the flight cancellations could start soon. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has the latest.
In exactly 1 week's time, Air Transat could be forced to start grounding flights, as its roughly 700 unionized pilots will be in a position to strike.
A December strike will be catastrophic because capacity is already saturated. Other airlines like Air Canada and WestJet are flying full plane for the holidays.
The threat during the busiest travel time of the year comes nearly a year after talks between the union and airline began. The pilots want pay raises and better job security and say they're tired of working under a contract signed 10 years ago. In a statement, the union says, "Let us be clear, we do not want to strike. However, after nearly a year of slow bargaining and little progress, we urge management to utilize the remaining time and negotiate seriously to avoid operational and flight disruptions."
If anyone knows labor negotiations, I do, and I know that there's a pattern here, and we obviously hope they get a deal.
The airline is confident a deal can be found, saying in a statement, although this is a common step in the collective bargaining process and does not mean that a strike will be initiated, we remain fully committed at the bargaining table and aim to reach a tentative agreement without labor dispute. Aviation analysts say the prospect of a Christmas slowdown puts pressure on a company already facing financial troubles.
I don't think Transat's in a position right now of being able to accept a financially disruptive situation like a strike, so they will settle.
Air Transat says its operations are currently running as normal. Either side must give 72 hours notice of a strike or a lockout. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Turning now to your Northwest BC weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, expect conditions to be rain, ending near midnight, then cloudy with a 60% chance of showers or drizzle. Fog patches developing overnight, as well as some wind. Temperatures steady near 8 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect steady rain right through the week and into the weekend. Daily highs 4 to 6 degrees, overnight lows from 4 to 6 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect periods of rain or drizzle with fog patches developing overnight. Winds from the south at 20 kilometers an hour, temperature steady near +3 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, we can expect some snow, but it likely won't accumulate much. Daily highs from 1 to 3 degrees, overnight lows from 3 degrees down to -1 degree. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect snow ending this evening, then partly cloudy. A risk of freezing rain early this evening and a low of -3 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect a mix of sun, clouds, and flurries. Daily highs from 2 degrees down to -1 degree. Overnight lows between -1 degree and -5 degrees. Checking your highways around Northwest BC now. On Highway 16, there is bridge maintenance and road maintenance underway on Haida Gwaii. Also water pooling, slippery sections, and utility work to watch out for. On Highway 37, watch for utility work, slippery sections, muddy sections, and compact snow. On Highway 37A, there is an industrial traffic overnight road closure on December 6th. Also a section with falling rocks, bridge maintenance, slushy sections, and slippery sections. On Highway 118, slippery sections. On the Niska Highway, slushy, slippery sections. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a new legal battle over processed foods. Former federal minister Chrystia Freeland says Ukraine missed out on an economic boom when it secured independence in 1991, but it can unleash its potential once Russia's invasion ends. Freeland was appointed Prime Minister Mark Carney's special envoy for the reconstruction of Ukraine in September. She made the comments during her first major speech in Canada about her role. Despite Donald Trump's push to buy American, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is set to spend millions of dollars on a fleet of armored vehicles made by a Canadian defense manufacturer. The rush order came in late last month and is worth the equivalent of 10 million Canadian dollars. CTV's Rachel Aiello has been digging into the contract and has the details.
20 armored vehicles made by this Brampton-based defense manufacturer are set to be delivered to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement before the end of the year. According to U.S. procurement documents, Rochelle is uniquely positioned to deliver what ICE agents require within the necessary timeframe and confirmed immediate availability of vehicles that fully meet ICE specifications. Asked if the federal government has any concerns about the deal with a U.S. department accused of abusing human rights as it deploys U.S. President Donald Trump's mass deportation efforts, the foreign minister didn't say.
The government is not involved in the transaction. We have not received any questions or permit requests regarding this transaction. And I will continue to reiterate that Canada and the United States have a strong bilateral relationship with an open line of communication in which, if necessary, I will raise the issues with Secretary Rubio.
Rochelle's Made in Canada armored vehicles have been sent to the front lines in Ukraine. And while this contract comes despite Trump's America First edict, the Canadian company did set up an American factory last year, and it remains unclear where the specific emergency response vehicles ICE has ordered are originating. CTV News asked Rochelle and the ICE office responsible for procurement for comment. At this hour, neither have responded.
Now to a food fight in court, a new legal battle over processed foods with lawyers comparing big food to big tobacco. ABC's Sophie Flay explains.
It's a first-of-its-kind lawsuit taking on companies behind some of America's most popular foods. Everything from Oreos to Wheat Thins, Nutri-Grain bars to Lunchables. The city of San Francisco is suing 10 major corporations, accusing them of making people sick. Among them, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Kraft Heinz.
Our case is about companies who design food to be harmful and addictive and marketed their products to maximize profits.
The lawsuit alleges unfair and deceptive acts in the marketing of ultra-processed foods and claims these companies have known their products are harmful. The city says the cost of treating diseases like diabetes and heart disease has burdened local governments.
Ultra-processed foods have created an enormous public health crisis with skyrocketing healthcare costs.
A trade group representing the food industry says the lawsuit misleads consumers, and there is no agreed-upon definition of ultra-processed. It insists the food companies adhere to rigorous evidence-based safety standards established by the FDA and continue to introduce new product options that include increased protein and fiber, reduced sugars, and sodium. San Francisco hopes to see the same success it had when it took on Big Tobacco. City officials claim Big Food uses the same playbook today as Big Tobacco used then.
They knew their products make people very sick, but hid the truth from the public, profited from untold billions, and left Americans to deal with the consequences.
The city is seeking monetary damages and stricter marketing rules. A similar lawsuit filed by a consumer was dismissed this year. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Turning to the markets now, Canada's main stock index gained ground, helped by strength in the industrials and technology sectors, while U.S. markets also rose. The Canadian dollar rose almost 0.2 cents. The price of gold gained $11.70. Oil was up 31 cents. Natural gas gained 19 cents. Aluminum was down $1. In Toronto, the TSX was up 111 points. The Venture Index gained 7 points. In New York, the NASDAQ was up 40 points and the Dow Jones was up 408 points. Still ahead, new details emerge in the Luigi Mangione case. Now to the latest court appearance for Luigi Mangione. Police body cam video is being played, showing officers searching the accused killer before his arrest. Defense attorneys are now trying to block some of the evidence they seized. ABC's Aaron Katersky has more.
This morning, new details about Luigi Mangione's arrest from the officer who first confronted him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Patrolman Joseph Detweiler was dispatched to McDonald's after a manager called 911 to report a male in the store that looks like the New York City shooter, wanted for the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Detweiler testified he was skeptical. I did not think it was going to be the person they thought it was. He said his superior officer even joked, if you get the New York City shooter, I'll buy you a hoagie. But as soon as the man sitting in a corner with a breakfast sandwich and a hash brown lowered his mask, the officer testified, I knew it was him immediately. The officer is heard on body camera footage telling a colleague, it's him. He is nervous as hell. The officer testified Mangione gave him this fake ID for a Mark Rosario and claimed, I'm homeless. The officer asking, have you been to New York? While officers check the ID, Mangione is seen slowly finishing his breakfast. 19 minutes into the encounter, they read him his rights. The defense arguing that was too late.
Typically, when police take you into custody, they are to read you your Miranda rights so that way you know what you can and cannot say. Here, they encountered him, were asking him questions before they Mirandized him. This raises the grounds for the defense's constitutional argument that they violated his rights.
Aaron Katersky, ABC News, New York.
And finally tonight, the beloved artist behind Baby Beluga and other childhood favorites you probably remember has released a new single, varying slightly from his typical subject matter by reflecting on both the state of the world and encouraging early political literacy. CTV's Omar Sachedina sat down with Raffi himself.
I think the current times that we live in stress us out. I know this from my own experience. I hear it from friends and colleagues. These are tough times.
Baby Beluga in the deep blue
For decades, his songs have served as musical companions to millions around the world. Young fans, now parents, sharing Raffi's voice with their own children.
There are beluga grads now in tens of millions of homes, and they often tell me what an emotional experience it is for them to relive their love of my music with their own kids. And that's music to my ears.
ABC democracy. But his latest release is more political, a response, he says, to the times we're living in.
We never thought that south of the border democracy would be challenged by the rise of fascism. I never, ever thought this would be the case. It's really important for families to be inspired to learn about a citizen's duty to keep a democracy alive and strong. Democracy is not a spectator sport.
When you see the state of the world right now, it seems as though people are becoming more tribal, more polarized.
You know, in our times, it's so important for us to remember our common humanity. Nurturance, love and compassion, empathy, inclusion, diversity. When we see one another as family, the human family, when we see our children as universal beings of light who are here deserving the best we can give them, the best nurturance, that's how we thrive.
Turn, 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 turn this world around. He hasn't been one to shy away from teaching life lessons to children. This song, inspired by the words of Nelson Mandela. Green dream, I have a green dream. Another creation called Green Dream is what he calls an anthem for a green future. Salam shalom. And this one, reminding the world about what unites us.
Side by side we live, salam shalom. It's about peace. Salam in Arabic means peace. Shalom in Hebrew means peace. It's all right there for us to embrace.
Are you scared about the state of the world?
I pray every day to be of service. I do the best that I can to make the most positive statements with my songs.
But are you praying harder these days?
I pray daily for gratitude and for inspiration.
'Cause your friends are my friends are your friends. At 77, he's also championing music education. He was recently a guest panelist for a symposium in Toronto, where the Royal Conservatory launched its music education program for babies and toddlers globally.
We need to invest in our children and invest in our communities and invest in our society. And I think that doing it through music will have very dramatic effects on democracy.
As somebody who chose not to have children, you have this remarkable ability to connect to millions of children around the world. Where does that come from?
Learning that a young child is a whole person, deserving of respect, was the key learning of my life. Respect has been the core value throughout my career. That's why I've never done any commercial endorsements. I've learned so much over the years, and I'm grateful to be able to put that learning into practice, musically, joyfully.
That's our news for now. For more local news, you can find us at CFTK-TV.com. All of our newscasts and stories also go up on our TikTok and YouTube pages. And we'll be back tomorrow with more local news from around the Northwest and beyond. Thanks for watching.